up, everybody? We're back with another episode of What-If Sportscast. I'm Tim.
I'm
With
Kyle.
me, Kyle. Yep. Let's get into it. Great one this week. We got, what if Paige Bueckers never got injured? What if she just was completely healthy? What happens with her?
Yeah, we wanted to bring the channel to female athletes. Paige Bueckers is one of the best female athletes in basketball right now. She currently plays for UConn.
Nickname is Paige Buckets, man. She gets buckets.
It was really fun. I didn't realize, I even texted Tim earlier when we were researching, I never realized how good she actually is.
Yeah, because I've been talking to her about her for a few years, and I don't know if you even realized, And so she was right there with Caitlin Clark and everything. And she was actually bigger than Caitlin Clark at the beginning for sure.
Yeah.
But first, right off the bat, do you think UConn finally, this is her fourth year playing, fifth year, never won a championship. Do they get it done? Does she win the championship her final year?
You might think I'm crazy, but I don't think she does.
No?
No.
Who do you think's winning?
Because right now the top four is South Carolina,
Notre Dame, UCLA, Texas, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Those are kind of your top ones. LSU, UConn. UConn's fifth right now.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening for UConn, sadly. I wish that Paige Bueckers could get a national championship, but I just think that there's too many teams that I think have a better all-around
I think it comes down to three teams. I think it's South Carolina, UConn, or Notre Dame. One of those three teams, I think, is winning the national
championship. You don't think Texas?
No.
Texas is number one right now.
No, them or UCLA. I don't think either of them are. I mean, I think they're contenders, but I think those three, Notre Dame, UConn, and South Carolina, I think are your top. And I actually would probably put UConn and Notre Dame as my top two. But
so
South
you think it's going to be?
You never know.
You think it's going to be a UConn Notre Dame final?
If they're an opposite, I would say yes.
Yeah,
that's what I say.
I mean, it all depends. Like March Madness, crazy things happen. But
especially in the women's bracket lately, the past few years, it's been getting a lot more diverse. Yeah, and kind of how like the men's is, you never really know what's going to happen, and so it used to be where if you're not a top 20 team, you have no chance, and so. But it's getting a lot better. But I think they do. I think they win it. I think UConn, I would love to see Notre Dame, but, I got UConn here. I think Paige Buckets gets it done. But for those that don't know, she came out the same year as Caitlin Clark. She came into college. Okay. They were both being recruited. Paige was the number one recruit of that class.
Yeah.
Which now looking back, I mean, she's still a beast. However, if you would say right now, hey, she is the number one recruit over Caitlin Clark,
you'd say
people would think
that's
you're
crazy.
insane.
Because Caitlin Clark went on to be one of the best, if not the best, college basketball players, men or women.
At least scorer, for sure.
Yeah,
she definitely was the best scorer ever. She won 2 AP Player of the Years, 2023, 2024, Caitlin Clark did. Mm-hmm. However, Paige Bueckers, her very first year, freshman year, she won the Player of the Year 2021. Yeah. Caitlin Clark was at Iowa at that time. She won it, first freshman ever. Nobody's done it since. She's the only freshman that's ever won AP Player of the Year in women's.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And you talk about there's been some really good UConn girls basketball players too, and I will get into that. But yeah, in high school she was a flat out baller. She grew up in Minnesota. In 7th grade, she played with her 10th grade JV team, which
is crazy to think about. I just think about my nephew Braden. He's in 6th grade right now. Next year, he'd be playing JV. Yeah. And then the following year, 8th grade, she played on the varsity team. Yeah.
Which, if you guys don't know, I think Minnesota is actually a pretty good state for women's basketball. I know this year, I don't know their names, but they have, I think, 2 top 20 ESPN 100s out of Minnesota.
I'm not sure.
It's not it's not just a bad state to come out of. There's good good quality players coming out of Minnesota a lot.
What's crazy is in her 8th grade year, she didn't start, but she played. She had 9 points a game but she led the team in 3-point percentage and was second in assists as an 8th grader.
That's insane.
Which is crazy because I'm sure that at the beginning of the season she probably wasn't really playing as much, but by the end they ended up going a 28-3 record, and they were the runner-up for a state championship in Minnesota. She was named the all-tournament team. As an 8th grader playing high school girls, you're named to the all-tournament team.
That's just insane.
She begins getting scholarships that year.
Can you imagine what it would have been like as like a senior? Be like, all right, we're playing this team, and they got an 8th grader on their team. What the heck?
Even freshmen, it's like, wow, if the freshman's actually playing. Well, then she comes back as her freshman year, and she gets a lot more playing time. Mm-hmm. You know, that freshman year, they go 31-1, lost in the state championship again, 2 years in a row. She averages 21 points, 4.5 steals as a freshman, 4.5 rebounds, 4.1 assists. But as a freshman, you're averaging 21 points a game, and you lead your team to back-to-back state championship runner-ups.
Yeah, that's insane.
Then her sophomore year, she was out the first 2 months because she had, I believe it was a stress fracture she had in her ankle, but she was out the first 2 months. They ended up going 28-4, lost in the state championship again. 3 years in a row, they go to the state championship, lose, runner-ups.
I'm seeing a trend here.
It's insane. 22 points a game. 6 rebounds, 7 assists per game. This is as a sophomore. Junior year. Well, I forgot. Sophomore year, she also won the Minnesota Gatorade Player of the Year as a sophomore.
Yeah.
And I know she won some other awards too, but that was the biggest award she won. Okay. Junior year, they go undefeated, 32-0. They finally win the state championship. Yep. 24.5 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 4.6 steals per game again.
I think that's like the craziest stat, the 4.6 steals per game. You just don't hear about that anywhere.
Yep. And Minnesota Gatorade Player of the Year again. Finalist for Gatorade National Player of the Year, which is insane.
Yeah.
And AAU Player of the Year. Come to her senior year. Go undefeated again. They're 62-0. However, the state championship they're about to play in it gets canceled because that's right when everything shut down for COVID. Most likely would have won, but they were at least in the championship. So she actually played on varsity 5 years, 5 state championships that they made in a row.
That's insane. That's literally the highest. You can't get better than that.
Dude,
like, really?
Yeah. Well, and that year, like you were saying, the steals, she averages 5.4 steals per game that year. It's insane. 62 consecutive wins, like I said. She's the high school athlete of the year, national player of the year, finished in the high school all-time leader in points, assists, and steals, and she became the first ever female high school player to be featured on the cover of basketball magazine Slam.
That's pretty sweet. I'm like that.
Dude, Caitlin Clark, who, bro?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Who is Caitlin Clark? Yeah.
Just looking at that, are you just like, how didn't you know that she was that good? Like,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's like, I feel like I've been living under a rock. Like, and I feel like anybody that's listening to this feels probably the same way. Like, I'm like speechless of hearing those things, and just her accolades before college. And you don't hear about that stuff. And
especially females as much. You don't hear about them as much. I remember hearing about it, but nowadays it's starting to get a lot more, like the women are starting to come on, which is awesome. But 5-6 years ago, it definitely wasn't as big as it is now. And I am not taking anything away from Caitlin Clark because she has done a lot of that. Yeah. And I would say Paige Bueckers probably agrees. But without Paige Bueckers, does Caitlin Clark, like, I'm sure it was kind of like a magic bird where they're like looking at each other, and I'm sure they're seeing like, hey, she did this. All right, I have to do this, especially like that first year of college. Because, like I said, Paige Bueckers was the number 1 recruit that year. She ended up announcing that she was going on to UConn April, signed in November. And then this was a crazy stat that I didn't know. She was the 11th number 1 recruit to sign with UConn since 1998.
Wow. I feel like that signing to UConn kind of put UConn back on the map in a way too, because I mean you had UConn's run of win streak and right when like Brianna Stewart was at UConn and Maya Moore, where they just weren't losing games, and then UConn I feel like kind of fell off, and now like last few years
I wouldn't say fell off.
I wouldn't say like fall off, but now it's been more like LSU and South Carolina
But it's not like UConn was still in the top 10.
Yeah.
I would say with their coach, I can never say his last name correct, but Gino Ariyama, I can never say his last name. I think he is the best coach ever. I don't know if it's just because he recruits amazingly or what, men's or women.
Yeah.
I think he is the greatest coach of all time, to be completely honest with you. And the way he gets like out of his teams, and obviously he gets like the good recruits, but there's a reason why these girls are going to him. And I'm sure he's gotten offers to coach men's NBA, I would even say. I wouldn't put it past me, you know. But I wouldn't say so that's the tough part, because UConn is a powerhouse. Iowa was not as big of a powerhouse. And so, like, if you look at Caitlin Clark, obviously Paige Bueckers had more to work with.
Yeah.
But it's crazy just that they were kind of entangled right around then, and nobody thinks about it as much because Caitlin Clark is already in the WNBA now.
And killing it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And she rookie of the year.
Yep.
She should have been on the Olympic team. She kind of
should have been.
And stuff. But so you go to college, and Beckers becomes the first freshman to earn a major National Women's College Player of the Year award, winning all 4 of which she was eligible. Caitlin Clark was a freshman that year as well.
Yeah, I'm just speechless. I don't know what you can even say to that. That's just...
It's crazy. So the thing that's surprising to me, and I don't know, obviously I can't really remember as much, but that freshman year, Paige Bueckers averaged 20 points per game. Caitlin Clark averaged 26.5. And Caitlin Clark shoots more. Yeah. So I expect her to score more points.
Exactly.
She shoots more.
Especially like you said, Iowa didn't have as great of a team probably because they are not as big of a dynasty and powerhouse.
See, this is what's crazy, though. Caitlin Clark averaged 7 assists per game. Paige Bueckers only 5.8.
Okay, not far off.
You know, but Caitlin Clark more. She averaged 5.9 rebounds per game. Bueckers averaged 4.9 rebounds per game. Why is Paige Bueckers the AP player and win all 4? So it's not just like a fluke out of like one award. All 4 major awards. Why does Bueckers win and not Caitlin Clark?
What was the... did we write down the records?
I do not know what Iowa's was that year.
I always think
I'm not 100% sure what
it's kind of sad, but I think all awards...
Oh, actually, okay. I do have it down. 20-10. They lost to UConn in the Sweet 16.
Okay, so...
And Paige Bueckers, UConn, they were 28-2.
Yeah, so
do you think
probably,
it's more because of the record?
I'd probably say that, which I think is really sad. I think all awards, and you can look at this in like professional sports as well. I think like record does matter to a point, but I don't see how it almost matters too much, I think, because we're talking about individual awards. Why should a team record
I think it should mean
so much?
some, but it's the same thing as like the MVP right now. A lot of people are saying if the Nuggets were the number 1 in the conference, Jokic would be the front runner, which he should be the front runner anyway.
Exactly.
Even like we're the number 2 team in the West.
Yeah.
And so
it's just
I think
like,
it should matter, because if you're on a terrible team, it's tough because I think if you're just absolutely killing it, but it's like, all right, are you making the team worse by shooting 50 times a game? Kind of thing, and so
like I said, like you have to win majority of your games, but like Caitlin Clark, she was doing that. She brought her team to the Sweet 16, and she was winning basketball games for her team.
Yep.
But like UConn and LSU and all these other teams were just a little bit better because they're more of a powerhouse. They can get the better, recruits around them and stuff. Mm-hmm. So, but I kind of think the same thing. I think it is kind of surprising that Paige Bueckers won AP Player of the Year that year.
And like I said, it wasn't just that. It was the 4 major ones that she won, And, obviously there's more stats than that too. But it's just kind of interesting. Her freshman year, it went great. They end up losing in the Final Four, 69-59 to Arizona. But they go 28-2. She wins those 4 awards. She was proclaimed as basketball's next big thing by USA Today. Best player in women's basketball by Diana Taurasi, who she just retired. Yeah. Everybody says she's the GOAT.
Yeah. Which
freshman year, it's like, whoa.
For that to be said about you, it's just,
it's insane. She's on top of the world.
Exactly.
Freshman year ends April 30th. She undergoes surgery to her right ankle to repair, I'm not even going to try to say it, but a defect. And then joint damage involving the bone and cartilage is pretty much what it is.
Yeah, I've had some ankle injuries. They suck. I know you've had some ankle injuries. They suck, but...
So she was pretty much out all off season. She returned in October. Okay? December. 40 seconds left in a game that they were beating Notre Dame pretty good. She ends up getting hurt. Injures her left knee with 40 seconds left. Suffered tibial plateau fracture.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say some of these. Out 6 to 8 weeks.
That's just terrible.
What a tough break.
In a game that maybe she probably shouldn't have been in the first place.
Especially at the end, probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So she undergoes surgery a few days later, repairs the fracture, and a previously undisclosed lateral meniscus tear. Out 8 more weeks on top of that.
Ouch. It's just keep on getting worse.
In her absence, UConn goes 15-4. Pretty good. Fell out of the top 10 for the first time since 2005. That's where I was telling you. You said that Paige Bueckers signing put them back on the map.
Yeah. I mean,
they fell out of the top 10 for the first time since 2005. That's insane. 16 years they were in the top 10. Winning streaks of 240 games against unranked teams and 169 games against conference opponents ended with losses to Georgia Tech and Villanova. Yeah. That is insane. With Paige Bueckers, they probably win those games.
For sure. 100%. Yeah.
And so, all right. That's it. Okay.
Yep.
She returns right before March Madness, comes off the bench, only plays 13 minutes. Not bad, She missed quite a bit of games that year. They end up going to the national championship, losing to South Carolina. All right. Hey, it's starting to go back up.
Yeah.
She's good. Then, in August of that year, right before the season, UConn announces she tore her ACL playing a pickup game on her left knee.
Man, what are you doing, Paige?
Dude.
Paige, just stay home.
Dude, are you kidding? It's like every time. It's like, all right, hey, they go to the national championship, tears her ACL.
It's just terrible. You hate to hear about that, but yeah, you're just like, come on, Paige, dude, just stay home and watch TV or something.
Yeah.
Jeez.
UConn goes 31-6 still though, without her, which is amazing.
Yeah.
However, they lost in the Sweet 16, making it the first time since 2008 they didn't make the Final Four.
Which, that's just another crazy UConn stat that just is mind-blowing.
But with Paige Bueckers, you're probably making the Final Four.
Probably.
Possibly winning a national championship.
For sure.
So she's out the entire season. Just goes.
Yeah.
She comes back. Announced her return despite being projected as a top 3 pick. She comes back 2 years later. So They lose to Ohio State. She didn't play at all. Comes back. They end up playing Iowa in the Final Four. They lose 30. They lost by 2 points to Iowa to go to the championship. 31-5 record. She could have been a top 3 pick with Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
After all of these injuries.
Which that just tells you how good of a player she still is, even with all these injuries
Major
injuries. Yes.
She's still projected a top 3 pick. She's like, no, I want to go back to college.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if she was taken number 1 overall.
Last year?
But yeah. I think.
Come on.
Again, over Caitlin Clark?
Yeah. Come on.
I don't know.
You think she'd be picked over Caitlin Clark?
I think teams would definitely have to consider it. I don't think Caitlin Clark.
I think she's an easy 2.
Okay.
I think she's an easy 2. If she wasn't injured, okay, because that would have been fun to see, and that would have been awesome to see, just them battling and stuff. Yeah. I kind of wish that Caitlin Clark would have played again because that would have just been fun to see him battle.
Yeah, that would be
Obviously,
cool.
We'll see it for years to come in the WNBA.
Yeah,
but dude, she was a top 3 pick. She's like, no, I want to go back to college. That's where they're winning the championship this year.
She probably felt cheated, and she wants her college championship story.
Well, the crazy thing is, she technically is eligible for another year next year.
Yeah, I had to double and triple check that because college eligibility is so weird, especially like around COVID, because a lot of players got another year of COVID eligibility.
Which she was able to get.
Yeah, she was able to get, and that's why she is able to technically go back.
And then with that injured year, she redshirted.
But I think there's no way that she does. In February of this year, like this month, she reaffirmed that she is going to be going to the WNBA. She's probably definitely going to be the number 1 overall pick. Dallas Wings hold the number 1 overall pick.
There's a girl from Notre Dame. She kind of is up there. There's a couple other girls. I just don't see how you pass on Paige Bueckers.
Yeah, I think it's like I was saying, there's no way that she would go over Caitlin Clark.
Say this, okay? She grew up Minnesota Lynx fan.
Yeah.
Say she doesn't think Minnesota's going to be the greatest this next year. They can get the number 1 overall pick. Does she go back to college?
Maybe. I mean,
I don't think she does, but isn't that crazy to think about?
But I mean, it doesn't
because
hurt.
now with NIL deals,
yeah,
especially in the WNBA, they're not making a crazy amount of money. So it's like she might be making just as much as money
or more, honestly. Maybe but NIL has completely changed the game of college for sure. But
but with all this being said, with the injuries, we saw our stats. I mean, we didn't really talk about her stats as much in college, but she's taking them to the Final Fours, runner-up in the national championship, then she tears her ACL. What happens if she doesn't get hurt? And I'm not even saying, like, the first couple. What if she doesn't tear her ACL?
I think she would be at least number 2 in UConn scoring behind Maya Moore, over Brianna Stewart. I think she would have beat her for sure. Which that was a crazy stat that I never thought would get beat. And I think, they probably win at least 1 national championship, making a Final Four in all 4 years.
Well, it's crazy too, because I feel like she's actually not looked upon as like the scorer. Like Caitlin Clark is looked upon, hey, she scores the basket or bucket, I feel like Paige Bueckers is kind of looked actually as like a pass first.
Yeah.
Even though this year she's averaging almost 19 points a game. But I think the thing that I think she makes the best basketball play.
Yeah.
I think that's the best part of her.
Yeah.
It's not necessary. It's kind of, for me, it's the same kind of thing as like LeBron.
And Jokic.
Because, and Jokic,
Yep.
Jokic doesn't get like blasted as much. LeBron gets blasted if he does not take the last minute shot.
Yeah.
However, if he sees a better play, that it's like, hey, this is a better play. If they're triple teaming me, I'm going to pass it off. He gets ostracized for it. I think Paige Bueckers does that. She's like, hey, no, this is the best basketball play, so I'm going to do that. I also think she's primarily a guard. However, she's played power forward as well, so she can play almost all those positions.
Yeah.
And excel at all of those positions.
Yeah.
And so I think they win the national championship if she doesn't get hurt at least one of the 2 years, last year or the year before. I think she wins. If she doesn't get hurt, she's to the WNBA.
Yeah.
And also if she doesn't get hurt, then I think it's, all right, who do you pick, Caitlin Clark or Paige Bueckers?
Yeah, and that would have been crazy. Yeah. Do you think she would have beat Brianna Stewart's scoring?
I don't know necessarily, just because, like I said, the points for me, she was never like the biggest points per game player or anything. So I don't know necessarily. She probably, I don't even know how far she was off. I know Brianna Stewart had 2,676 points.
Yep.
Second in UConn history. Maya Moore had just over 3,000. I'm not exactly sure how much Beckers is at, but
she's going to be projected around like how her trajectory is right now with the remainder of the season. She's going to be right around like 2,300, 2,400, right around there.
Probably not then, honestly.
Okay.
Because unless she doesn't get hurt that like her sophomore year, because she missed quite a bit in the sophomore year too. Because this year you have to take into account, because this year is like that makeup year for that complete injured. So it's not like she'd have 5 years, because if she never got that ACL injury, she's going to the WNBA.
Exactly.
And so probably not.
I think it would be close, but I think she would have beat it. So I wrote down her, I think it's technically her senior year, 2023, 2024. She played 39 games, had 854 points. Brianna Stewart's best scoring season was in 2013, 2014, where she scored 777 points in 40 games. So one more game and almost 100 points less.
Yeah.
That's like, I think Paige Bueckers.
That was her best, though, year.
That was
she
her
scored
best
22
year.
points per game that year. And so that was her most ever. The thing that also is crazy to me, by the way, I know we keep talking about Caitlin Clark. Paige Bueckers always shot better at 3-point percentage than Clark. And that's what she's known for.
Yeah, she's the Steph Curry of WNBA.
And Beckers is a better 3-point shooter, which is crazy. But if she doesn't get hurt, I think she goes down with. I still think she's going down with like you said, Taurasi, Maya Moore, Beckers, Stewart. You know, some of these top UConn, and there's more as well.
Yeah,
but she might have even been the number one overall. It's tough to say Brianna Stewart's not. Yeah, because they won. So I think she only lost one college game ever in her career.
Yeah. I was going to say, like,
it's hard to say that she's not the best ever. And she's won multiple MVPs at the WNBA level, too. Yeah. But she's, goes down there at least. And maybe it's because of the women's game is just a lot more evolving, where people are watching a lot more, and it's just more out in mainstream media and stuff. And so maybe that's why as well. But it's just, I can't believe how many people don't realize that she won this stuff over Caitlin Clark. Yeah. And then she gets hurt, and then Caitlin Clark is like, she's the only one.
Yeah. I'm really hoping that Paige Bueckers can stay healthy in the WNBA, because I want her and Caitlin Clark to both have amazing careers in the WNBA, just because as a fan, I can't wait to see the matchups for years to come. And I feel like you said at the start of the episode, it could be that Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, like 1 and 2. And I just think that
I could see them winning 3 or 4 MVPs, each of them. Like,
exactly.
Just going like that. Yeah. A few championships each. And for the next 15, 20 years.
Yeah. Man. Which, especially with the WNBA expanding how it is, and it's just, you love to see it and them growing and their 3v3 league this year is really cool. And
it's kind of like the new Asia Wilson and Brianna Stewart, because they are compared a lot against each other and stuff. And so it's almost like that, like the new age. And it's just, man, it's awesome to see that amount of just success from different like women. And I love watching the WNBA, and it's great. It's during the summer. So no NBA really. I mean, the NBA championship playoffs and stuff like that is obviously at the end, and the WNBA has started, but it's just, I watch it, you know, it's like, oh, I'll turn it on. And especially teams that I like or players that I like, I will search for them. Like I know when they play. So I'm excited. Like I already know, like I'll be watching the Dallas Indiana game. The first game. You know, and I think that Paige Bueckers is going to sell out like Caitlin Clark.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think so too. Paige Bueckers probably going number 1 overall to Dallas. Caitlin Clark's first year with Indiana completely revamped Indiana, brought them to the playoffs. Do you think Paige Bueckers does the same thing in Dallas? First year playoffs?
I do think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think it's going to be as much though, because Indiana had the number 1 overall pick the year before. Boston. So they had 2 back-to-back number 1 overall picks. They also had some other pieces around it, and Dallas can make some moves, put some pieces around her as well. I do think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think, because even in the playoffs, I wasn't sure if Indiana was going to lose that first round. It's like, hey, if they get hot, you never know. And the way they finished the season, it was a lot like, all right, they got through some growing pains. They know kind of how to play against each other. Then they fire their coach. And who knows, you know. I do think Indiana's going to be a contender, though. They made some really nice moves in free agency so far, and still got the draft and everything like that. But, I think Dallas is a playoff team for sure. And I think, like I said, there's a couple other girls that I could see. If Paige Bueckers plays and she does not get hurt, I think she is going to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, honestly, I can't really, other than I think it's going to be a race between her and the girl from Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's Olivia Miles. Miles. It's Mills or Miles. I can't remember. She's a beast. I mean, Notre Dame has probably the best team this year overall, and because Hannah Hidalgo, she could win AP Player of the Year this year. It's pretty much, I think, between her. I can't remember what the girl's name is, but she's from the big girl from UCLA, Juju or Beckers. It's probably going to be one of those 4 players.
Juju Watkins, she's another fun one to watch in USC.
Well, that's where in a couple of years it's going to be her and Hannah Hidalgo from Notre Dame, both of them coming out at the same time. So it's just, man, it's just one after another. It's awesome. It's so much fun.
Yeah, if you guys are basketball fans and you're not watching WNBA and college basketball, you're missing out.
You suck. I'm just kidding. Just kidding, everybody. Please keep listening.
Yes.
But, dude, we could go so much. We have so many other notes that we could just be talking about Paige Bueckers, just what she has accomplished. We just scratched the surface.
Oh, yeah.
But just with everything I've read, everything I've watched her, I think she is just amazing. She's an amazing basketball player. And just like you can see in her mind how great she is, I think it's tough between her and Caitlin Clark if she doesn't get hurt. It's really, all right, the scoring, dude, I don't even know. It's so hard to say because those injuries cause so much stuff. And every time we thought she was coming back, she gets injured again. I hope she stays healthy. We're about to start March Madness. They have one more game. We're filming this on Friday night. They have a game on March 2nd, which is Sunday. This is going to come out March 3rd. So there will be one game. Hopefully she doesn't get hurt. Hopefully she doesn't get hurt in March Madness
Fingers
or the
crossed.
championship or the conference championships or anything. And just they have great years and stuff, man. But is there anything else you want to say about this?
No, I think we touched on it all. We definitely want to hear your opinion, though. If you've watched Caitlin Clark, if you watched Paige Bueckers, Give us your thoughts on who you think is better, who you think is going to have a better career. I do
without
want
the injury, is Paige Bueckers better than Caitlin Clark?
Yeah. Give us your thoughts. We'd love to hear it. I do really quick want to make a quick shout out to Avo Sports Betting. It's a tool. We give them a shout out every single year. They're helping thousands of people win money on sports gambling has become so huge over the last few years. So we're going to have a link in the description. Use that to sign up, and hopefully it helps you win some bucks.
Go check it out. Kyle uses it. He definitely wins some money. I always hear about the good when he wins, never when he loses.
That's because I never lose.
Whatever you say, Nanny Kyle. But no, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I really enjoyed just looking up all different things. I really enjoyed it. I'm passionate about basketball, so it helps. And it's it's a current thing, so it's just so much fun because we're living in the what if right now.
Yeah.
You know, because if she doesn't get injured again, who knows what will happen. So
and then it's always fun to, we could talk about males and NBA and NFL and all that stuff, but female sports are just as fun to watch. They're somewhat like maybe even more entertaining, skill wise.
The WNBA is more, I feel like, team oriented than
I agree. Yeah, which with all the people saying the NBA is down in ratings and there's no like and all they do is just chuck threes. It's like, dude, go watch college, go watch WNBA. Mm-hmm. It's all about cutting and actually
fundamentals. And
exactly.
Both of us watch NBA, college basketball, men's college basketball.
I do like religiously, basically, but
at least one game a day, you know. But yeah, hopefully you guys liked it. As I said, we had a great time. Please let us know any topics you want us to hit up, what ifs, anything. We will look up anything. You know, we have a couple more in our heads that we're like, this will be fun. So we're going to, but if anybody wants to, hey, comment, let us know. Let us know what you guys want to do. We're here for it.
Yep. But that's all we got for this week. Tune in next week. If you haven't watched all our videos before, we've talked about Tom Brady. We talked about Michael Jordan. We just talked about the Seahawks and probably the worst call in NFL history. Yep. But we have a couple episodes out there for you guys to enjoy. That's
all we got. I hope you have a great week. Peace.